already know. So I'm gonna keep it cute, keep it classy. I said what I said. Y'all been warned. So if you get muted or whatever, you was doing too much. You were doing entirely too much. Thank you guys for hearing me out. Thank you for the support. I really do appreciate the people that tune in weekly to see me. And even if you can't make it weekly and you just pop in here, I appreciate you too. If you popping in here for the first time, I apologize for all the confusion because y'all probably like, what is going on in there? Why is that girl sitting here crying? But yeah, this has been the week and people catching strays. So, but I'm gonna reel it back in. I want to just remind you guys. I'm on every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, 5 p.m. Pacific time. We also have the Bari Unfiltered every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, every other Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. The Bari Mel Experience, they come on every Taco Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific time. They also host a Shop Talk every first Monday of the month, where they talk with men here in the community and create a vulnerable space where you can have conversations about whatever the topic may be or anything that may come to your heart. And that conversation is led by our friend Fadeaway Ryan, who is a licensed therapist in Illinois and Texas. The link is in the bio if you're seeking therapy services. Yeah. And of course, if you have a need for supplements, I would be remiss if I don't remind you, I have a code TBTM, 10% off your ProCare supplements. So make sure you check that out. Without further ado, I want to go ahead and bring up the guest because I took up enough time talking about this stuff. And I apologize to her because she probably had no idea this was going to happen. So, but let me go ahead and without further ado, you guys know I love to bring you guys a great guest with a great story. So let's go ahead and bring up my dear friend, someone who has been in this community for a little bit. I love her What I Eat in a Days because I don't necessarily cook, but she has some really great ideas. So if you haven't started following her, make sure you do. I'm going to bring up Miss Welcome. Oh, there she is. Hey,
Hold
girl.
on, let me get hello.
Let me
Is my video working?
not yet. So you let me know if you need me to. I could probably send you. Oh, there you go. Oh, sorry, I turned it off by accident. Sorry.
It's okay.
Try it again.
Hello.
Micah, hi. Oh
Hello,
my
he just woke up.
Oh my gosh, you were just a teeny tiny. Look at
I
you.
know, he's 7 months old now.
Wow. Oh my lordy, Micah, you're just like, whoop, just glow up on us. Isn't he adorable, y'all? He's so cute. So, and he smiles like he working the camera.
I know, he's
Okay.
a little ham. I'm hoping he'll stay good. He
Yeah,
usually
look,
is pretty
no
good.
worries.
He's cutting his first tooth though. So he's been like a little bit cranky.
That's okay. No worries at all. But thank you for joining me today. How's your Sunday?
It is good. How's yours? We're gonna keep it good and positive. Bring it
Yes,
around.
I'm blessed. I woke up this morning, so that's good for us. We're living in our purpose here. So even though, I said what I said, I think honest to God, like I feel really good. I feel like I've cleansed my spirit. So I'm in good spirits. Thank you for asking. So you guys, if you don't already know Lisa had RNY. So that was, when did you have your RNY,
I had it
Lisa?
March 22nd, 2022. So I'm like 2.5 years post-op now.
That's amazing. How do you feel 2 years out?
I feel good. I definitely feel like it's harder now, like being so far out because I don't stay full as long as I used to. And I definitely picked up a few bad habits when I was pregnant.
Like I know because I had a baby the other day, it feels like,
Yeah.
and I completely understand. And we'll talk a little bit about that because I have some questions for you, just because it's a struggle.
Oh,
But
yeah.
we're gonna get into that. So 53K on TikTok, 23K on IG, and 8.8 on YouTube. What is it like to be a rock star on social media?
You know, it's so weird because I started the Instagram probably in like 2016 when I was going through like trying to lose weight naturally. And so I got like a couple, I think I got like maybe like 10,000 followers on there because I had lost like 80 pounds through diet and exercise at that point. And so my weight has been like a roller coaster my whole life. So I lose 80 pounds, I gain 100. And that's been like my whole life. And so when I decided to join TikTok, I didn't even really like think people would really follow me, to be honest. But I saw this girl, it was Bypass Nicole, and she had posted what I eat in a days every single day. And those videos really helped me because I didn't really have anybody in my life that had gastric bypass. So I had no idea what my life was going to look like. And I was so worried that I was never going to eat my favorite foods again, or I was going to be stuck eating like 2 ounces for the rest of my life. And so seeing her videos, and she's like a very young, I think she was like 20 when she got it. And so
Wow.
seeing her, she was like eating very healthy, but also eating like bread and potatoes and pasta every once in a while. I was like, okay, like I can eat that way too. Like this surgery doesn't seem as scary. So after watching like so many of her videos, I was like, okay, if I get the surgery, I'm going to dedicate 1 year to like posting what I eat in a day every single day, just so that I can like pay it forward and maybe help somebody else see like, hey, the surgery isn't that scary and you can still eat like pretty normally. It's just, in moderation and smaller amounts too, if you can handle moderation. I know that there are some foods that people cannot eat after the surgery, just whether they can't tolerate it anymore or they eat too much of it. Um, so that's what I did. And I don't know, people really like what I eat in a day videos is what I found out.
Love them. And you do
Yeah.
it like the way you make it look like, for a person like myself, I'm like, I don't really cook, but that looks like I can probably do it. So
Yeah, and I
I
like
love
very
that.
easy meals too. So,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be complicated.
I know that with the RNY, and you said you kind of like did your own natural weight loss thing. RNY, was there anything that like going into it you were like, oh, I got this, and then you like found out later that, oh no, I didn't know this was gonna happen.
Yeah, I did a lot of research. I actually wanted the sleeve initially. So when I went and talked to my surgeon after talking with her and the amount of weight that I had to lose, because at my highest recorded weight that I ever stepped on the scale, I was 347 pounds. And then when I met my surgeon, I was 338 pounds. She sort of talked me into gastric bypass. And
Oh,
that made me very worried because what I had seen about gastric bypass, there was a lot more, there was like dumping syndrome and a lot of people couldn't tolerate more things. And so I really had to do like a pretty deep dive into like gastric bypass and doing it. I would say like the one thing that I didn't really realize is um, I had a stricture, and I didn't
mm,
really realize like how common strictures actually were. I know that there were things that you can do, like some people will, like smokers have a higher risk of having a stricture, but I didn't have
okay.
any of those risk factors. So I thought like, oh, I won't have that, but I did have it. And
Oh,
just so
wow.
knowing like going into it, like you might have little bumps in the road, you might have, little complications. So that was like the one thing that I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's scary, especially because like I'm a person that doesn't do really well with change. So that
Hmm.
switcheroo would have had me like, oh no, this
Yeah.
anxiety.
I almost didn't
So,
go through with it because when I went in to talk to my surgeon, I was like, "Oh, if they tell me I have to have gastric bypass, I'm not going to do it," because I was really afraid of gastric bypass. But luckily, I had a really good surgeon, and she talked me through like, it's not as invasive, like that much different than the sleeve, and with the sleeve,
yeah.
there's also problems too, like some people get GERD and stuff. So she made me feel really comfortable. So I think having a good team around you makes you feel a little bit more comfortable with change.
So you said team. So how was the team at home? What was your support like after surgery?
Well, my oh, he's waving. My bariatric team was really good. She is, I think, one of the only female surgeons in San Diego, and
Okay.
she's very understanding. And then I had a nutritionist. I also had a psychologist. So I had all that, and then my family was very supportive. So right when I told my mom, she was like, "Oh, I'm so proud of you." And my dad was really supportive. My siblings were all really supportive. I didn't really have anybody doubting my decision. So that's really good because I know a lot of people have family members who are like, don't do that. My boyfriend was very supportive too, which makes it easy. But he actually deployed before I had surgery. And then he didn't come back until I was like 7 months post op.
Oh
So
my
he
god.
came back. I looked one way when he left. He came back. I was like 110 pounds down, I think. So that was
Wow.
a little crazy because, he missed that whole journey.
He came back to like a totally different person.
Yeah, he did. And you are physically different, but you're also like your whole like self personality changes too. So we had like a little bumps in the road because I was, obviously a totally different person when he came back.
Can we talk about that a little bit? What do you feel like changed about you personality wise after surgery? Was it more confidence? Was it the struggles with the surgery, like just processing the whole thing? Like what was it about you that changed?
I think that just being overweight my entire life, I had developed a big people pleasing mentality. And I was
Mm,
always afraid, like, my opinion, like, didn't really matter. And my boyfriend is amazing, but I definitely was a, like, yes, whatever you want. Like, oh, if you want to go to the movies, we'll go to the movies. Or wherever you want to go, we're going to do. I never really, like, put up a fuss or had much of, like, my own opinion. And I definitely got a lot more confidence and I learned, to create boundaries and stuff in my relationship. So I definitely had more of a say in like, oh, I actually don't want to do this or let's do this and stuff. So it was different and we had to relearn how to like communicate. But, if you guys, because I think, they say like the divorce rate is really high with bariatric surgery. And I can see why, because your confidence changes, who you are changes, and you have to learn how to communicate. But if you guys love each other enough, you're definitely going to work through that. And we worked through it, of course. But yeah, we had a few bumps in the road when he came back because, we didn't do the transition together. He just came back and I was completely different.
that must be hard, especially because, you're one way, right? And then the surgery happens and it's like I know that we didn't have the surgery to stay the same. We had the surgery to obviously improve our life in some way, shape, or form. Did you get any kind of mental health support after surgery?
Yeah, I did see a therapist for my first year, which I think is really important because the surgery it helps with your stomach, but it doesn't help with your mind. And I realized I thought that I was had done a lot of work on my binge eating, and I
Mm,
realized after the surgery that I still had a lot of work to do because later on in the surgery, I found myself trying to kind of eat around my tool. I found
mm.
things that I was able to eat lots of, and I was starting to do that. So I think it's definitely important to have somebody to talk to work those things through because things will slip back up, especially when the further out you get, when that restriction kind of starts lessening up a bit and you don't stay full as long, you can definitely eat around your tool.
I do follow your content quite a bit, especially because you had the Berry Baby, and I was
Mhm.
really curious what your experience was like. You mentioned in one of your videos cravings. What was the cravings and also your restriction kind of changed a little? You want to talk a little bit about that?
While I was pregnant, yeah, my cravings, I'm a salty person for sure. And while I was pregnant, I was definitely a sweets person. And I indulged, I had been very strict on myself for the first year. I found out I was pregnant 1 year. Sorry, I am by myself with the baby because my boyfriend
That's
is
okay.
overseas with the military.
Listen,
So we're making it work because this is
that's
very
it.
baby talk, right?
This is Berry Baby talk. It's
This is
all
very
about
baby
him.
talk. I'm gonna put him in his playpen. Um,
He is the star of this show.
he is the star.
Sorry, Lisa.
We're going to be picking him up and putting him down all the whole show. Yeah, so I
That's
really
okay.
crave sweets. And for the first year, my bariatric journey, I didn't really get into a lot of my cravings because I'm a very like strict person on myself for so long. That's why my weight's been up and down for my whole life. And when I was pregnant, I started giving in and I realized that I don't really dump. And
Mm.
that has been something that I've been struggling with because now I'm like, oh, I can have like a Reese's cup if I want to. Because before I was like, oh, I can't have that because I'll probably dump. Oh, I can't have that because I'll probably dump.
Yeah.
But during my pregnancy, I was like, let's test the waters a little bit. So now I'm having to untest the waters.
Did your restriction change after the surgery? Excuse me, after your pregnancy? Like, did you kind of snap back, or was it still kind of the same?
I feel like my restriction definitely kind of goes up and down. It's hard to say if the pregnancy is what changed my restriction or I'm just further out from surgery because I got pregnant 1 year post op where you still have quite a bit of restriction and naturally your restriction is going to change a little bit over time. So I will definitely
Right.
say between like 1 year and now my restriction has changed, but I definitely still have restriction. So I think like people get worried when they're starting to able to eat a little bit more, but we're not meant to be eating like such small toddler amounts forever. So my restriction, I can eat probably like a cup and a half of food now.
What was harder, the surgery for the bariatric or this pregnancy?
Um, my pregnancy was a lot harder because one, it was an unexpected pregnancy. I think yours was unexpected too, right?
It sure was.
Yeah. So Micah was very unexpected. Um, and it was kind of bad timing because one, I was 1 year post-op. I hadn't reached my like my goal weight. So I was very
Right.
worried that I was going to gain all my weight back because my whole life my weight has been like losing and gaining. I've never maintained. So I was definitely a little bit worried because I hadn't entered into a maintenance yet. It was very stressful. We found out, I think, when I was a month pregnant, that my boyfriend was going to be overseas for like 2 years. So he shipped away when Micah was 10 weeks old. So I was like, okay, I'm basically going to be like a single mom and
Yeah.
like juggling, trying to like the weight thing. And now it's so funny because I'm like, I don't even care if I lose this last like 7 pounds. But in my mind before, when I was like in that zone, that was like the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. I know that the regain or just like in general, the weight gain has been kind of a struggle for me. Did you find it like mentally challenging to have the gain after the pregnancy?
Yes, I think just seeing the scale going up during my pregnancy was a big trigger for me. And I didn't think it would be. I thought like was secure enough, like, oh, I have to gain weight. I'm pregnant. But I found myself like going to the doctors and being like, oh, I should really watch what I eat today because I have to get on the scale later and like still in that like diet mentality. And then when I was like thinking about postpartum, I had two very different mindsets. I either had this mindset like, oh, I'm going to gain all my weight back, or I had this mindset that I was going to lose all the weight in a month. And I was like, I'm going to lose the weight in a month. I'm going to be smaller than I was before, which did not happen. But in my mind, I was like, oh, yeah, well, I'm just going to be that person that bounces back.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. And then here I am sitting at the same weight I was when I had him. I
Oh
lost like 15
Lordy.
pounds right out of the hospital and I've stayed that.
That's hard. That's hard. I feel like I also thought the same thing. I was like, oh, I'm gonna breastfeed. I'm just gonna get all
Yeah.
skinny.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to be
And,
smaller. I'm going to lose like 30 pounds after I give birth. No.
and a lot of people told me the same thing, like, girl, you lose so much weight, you'll be fine. And I'm
Honestly,
like,
people told me too. They lied.
like, excuse me,
Yeah.
45 pounds
Everybody is
later.
different.
What is something for you now in terms of like your social media? What are you trying to, or is there any like thing you're trying to get accomplished? Anything you're trying to do with your social media now that you've had the baby? You're kind of further out. I know a lot of bariatric people kind of disappear after they have surgery. Are you going to continue to grace us with your presence? Are you kind of like, it's
No,
okay. I
I
don't have
am
to do
still here. I definitely went through a little bit of an identity issue on here because my whole channel was what I eat in a days for the entire first year. And I didn't want to do what I eat in a days forever.
it.
Because I
That's
don't think
true.
it's healthy to show what you're eating every single day and have people commenting on how much you're eating or what you're eating. And that's unfortunately what you get when you open that up. So I definitely felt a little bit lost. I would say like my second year on here because I was pregnant. I didn't really have a lot of motivation. And now it's just very hard because I feel like there's a lot on my plate, like with him working full time. And then I have him full time and I don't have my boyfriend here. So it's hard to film. I definitely want to do a little bit more. Obviously, I'm still going to do recipes. I'm still going to do meal prep because that's what I love to do. But I would
Yeah.
like to do a little bit more lifestyle where I invite people like into my house and show them who I am because I feel like I I did a lot of videos, but I did a lot of like voiceover videos. So no one actually got a glimpse of like into my life. I just did voiceovers because that's what I'm more comfortable with doing. Because it's hard to talk to a camera.
It is. It
Mhm.
is. How do you balance your privacy and being a content creator?
It's very difficult because my boyfriend is very anti social media. So my boyfriend does not want to be on social media at all. And we had some discussions when Micah was born. At first, he didn't want Micah on social media at all either. And, whatever he wanted was what I was going to do because I think you know, if you want your child to be private, then we should have him be private. But after we had him, he was like, oh, okay, I'm okay with him being kind of like a background character.
Right.
I was like, okay, like that's fine. And now he's like, maybe when he's older, you should do like cooking videos with him. I'm like, okay.
Did anything change in terms of like, I know this is kind of like TMI, but like with your intimacy after you had surgery?
I would say yes. I mean, like obviously stamina wise, a lot better because it was tired and like you're more flexible afterwards. And
Okay.
just feel like more confident too. So I think it got better.
Okay.
And
I
obviously
like
my fertility got better too because I popped him out right away and we never had like a scare before. We've been together like 3 years and I I don't know. I think
Look,
fertility wise,
like I said, I'm coming out. Okay.
yeah,
I
that
don't know
really
about.
is not stopping. I was like, okay.
Did you have a natural birth or did you have a C-section? I don't remember.
I had a C-section because he was breached the whole time. Did you have a natural birth or a C-section?
I had a C-section as well. I had a C-section. That recovery is a little different. I don't think people always factor in like all that goes into a C-section. That's why I asked if it was like a little harder with the pregnancy or the bariatric surgery. A lot of people assume bariatric surgery is dangerous, but they don't realize that C-sections are probably a lot higher risk than the actual bariatric surgery.
Yeah, I
Did
think
you?
the pain was worse for the C-section too. I didn't really have any pain after bariatric surgery. I didn't really struggle with gas pain or anything that a lot of people do, but my C-section definitely was a little bit painful.
So someone asked, what does breech mean? I don't know if you want to enlighten.
Okay, so when a baby is supposed to be getting ready to being born, they're supposed to go head down, so that way you deliver them head first. Whereas Micah, his head was like up here and his feet were down. So if I was to deliver him naturally, I'd be delivering him feet first, which can be dangerous because if you deliver him feet first after you deliver the shoulders, their head can get stuck in the birthing canal. And then you can have the risk of like cerebral palsy or even like infant death. So they don't really like you to give birth naturally. If they're breached, they just automatically schedule you for a C-section. There's a lot of like tricks they can try to do. We did a lot of like, I think it's called like twisting babies moves where you have to like hang upside down on a couch for 10 minutes, 4 times a day to see if they'll like turn themselves. And then like you had to put like an ice pack near your crotch or like, no, a warm pack near your crotch and an ice pack up high to try to like flip them, but he didn't want to flip.
He's like, I'm going to do what I want to do.
No, he's very stubborn. He was like, no, he was quite comfortable up there. He was so high up too.
Yes, and that's really scary. I know that with breech pregnancies, the default is typically the C-section if they aren't able to turn the baby. So that was a great question, guys. One of the other things that I'm curious about, was there any point where his weight was a concern while you were pregnant, being that you can only eat like this much?
They definitely kept a very close eye on me because they said that I guess for a lot of bariatric patients in the third trimester is where the weight issues for the babies tend to happen. And they can actually stop gaining weight in the third trimester and then they'll have to take them out early. Micah actually was a big baby for the whole pregnancy. Like he was always measuring in like the 90th percentile. He's very loud too. He loves
No, he's like, talk about it. Tell him everything.
He's like, excuse me, I'm supposed to be on the camera. I'm the star of the show. Why'd you take me away? He was a big baby the whole time. I'm gonna pick him up. You want to join?
Yeah, of course. He's like, look, talk about me. You got to put me on camera.
Yeah, he's like, okay, so he was a big baby. He's actually had trouble gaining weight after giving birth. That's what we've really struggled with. He lost a lot of weight because I didn't produce milk, which also apparently is an issue for bariatric patients because we just can't eat enough or drink enough. So a lot of us will struggle with producing milk, and I definitely had big struggles with that.
That is true. That was kind of what happened with me too. So were you able to still take your bariatric supplements or were you taking prenatal supplements? I know some folks always ask that question, so I'm curious for you.
Yeah, so I took a bariatric prenatal because apparently the bariatric regular ones have too much vitamin A for a fetus. So my doctor switched me to a prenatal one. I think it was like the Healthcare Pro one. And I did take that every day, but all of my other bariatric vitamins made me really sick after, I think, in the second trimester. So I actually stopped taking like my calcium and my iron. Luckily, my vitamins stayed good until the very end. The very end, I got low in calcium and low in iron. And
Uh,
that's been another thing is it's hard to get back on taking your vitamins every single day when you stop taking them. So that's one thing where it's been like a little bit of an up and down for me. And I get really good for like a week and then all of a sudden I like stop taking them again.
how do you now balance mommy and taking care of you and your bariatric body? How has that been?
That has been very difficult. I think balancing everything is so hard, especially for moms. I always say, like, kudos now that I am a mom. I'm like, I can't imagine women who go through the surgery when they already have kids and they're doing it all and just starting from like the start of it all. Because now doing it is very difficult. What I do is just whatever on the weekends, I prioritize what's like the most important thing to me. So if the house stays messy, that's okay because meal prepping, I know if I don't meal prep, I'm somebody that's going to make poor choices. So meal prepping is always going to be like a priority for me. So if the laundry doesn't get done, it doesn't get done, but at least my meal prepping will get done. So I think like the most important thing is just prioritizing what's the most important for that day. And that's how I do it. Or if like a bath is most important, then that's what I'm going to do that day. I'm going to give myself a nice bubble bath.
I love that. I literally need to be in touch with you because I don't really realize how much I put off things for myself because of the finding that balance, right? I know with your with your content, how is it with little Micah? Does he kind of like come in and try to like get on the videos with you while you're doing your what you eat in the day, or
Oh
how
yeah.
has it been?
It's hard now. You know, when they're little, they can like be in a bouncy chair or like be sleep. They sleep so much. And now that he's like 7 months old, he wants to stand. He's like babbling and talking. So my page has definitely been not as exciting as it I would like it to be. Like I used to post like twice a day, and now I'm posting like sometimes once a day or sometimes like once every like 2 days. So I want to get back to it, but it's hard with him. So that's why I'm like, well, maybe I'll start doing a little bit more lifestyle stuff so that I can include him in it. But sometimes he joins me with my protein coffee videos. And then when I meal prep, I used to have to wear him in like a baby carrier while I'm like meal prepping.
Yes, yes, yes. Do you get any comments now that you've had the baby about any of the weight gain or anything like that? Has anyone ever made like comments about it?
Yeah, definitely. The people who know that I've had surgery and had they ask me all the time, like, "Oh, how's the weight loss going?" Or do you, how much, mostly like, how much weight did you gain? Like, a lot of people are worried about gaining all the weight back, and I'll say like I gained 25 pounds during my pregnancy, which is like the exact amount they wanted me to gain, and I was probably careful for my first trimester and like part of my second trimester, but after that, I ate whatever I wanted. So I don't think you have to worry about gaining all of your weight back during pregnancy. And then a lot of people are curious if I've lost the weight, and no, I have not. I've lost 15
Oh,
pounds of it. I have 10 more pounds to go. But at this
okay.
point, it's okay.
So what are you doing? Are you like back in the gym? Are you just like focusing on what you're eating? What is the aftercare for you now?
The aftercare, I go on mommy walks. That's about the only exercise I can fit in right now is stroller walks. And then I try to meal prep. That's like my big thing is if you got to know what your weaknesses are. And if I am not prepared for the week, I will gain weight because I will eat McDonald's every single time. Or I'll eat chips, or I'll be like a chronic grazer if I don't make my meals. So for me, making meals is super important. So I try to stick. I don't count calories anymore, but I definitely still count my protein. So I try to do 30 grams of protein per meal.
Okay.
So that way I get close to like 100 grams, and then with my snacks I get like 120.
Okay.
That's
Okay. Oh, he's so cute. You're just so cute. Sorry guys, he's so cute. I'm like so distracted. But nonetheless, I do want to just quickly remind you guys: have your water, drink your. If you have your Powerade, grab Powerade, drink your water, take your vitamins, whatever you got to do. Now's a good time. If you have any questions for our dear friend Lisa, make sure you put them in the chat. I have my eye out now. I know there's some stuff that was coming in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see you guys. Thank you for joining in. I know a lot of people are in and out. Welcome, welcome. I know For me, hydration was a challenge. Did you have any challenges with hydration during your pregnancy?
Yeah, I had a lot of food and drink challenges because I developed what they think was an ulcer during my
Mm.
pregnancy. We don't really know if it was an ulcer or if it was just because he was in a breech position. He was like pinching my nerves. So I was actually in the hospital 3 times with really bad abdominal pain.
Oh my gosh.
And they wouldn't give me a CT scan or anything because I was pregnant. And I was actually really worried that I had like an obstructed bowel or something because it was like extreme pain, but they treated it as if it was an ulcer. But even like water or drinks would actually give me like stomach pain too, which I think is common with ulcers. So I had a very difficult time with drinking water and anything. So I had to drink really slowly and also eating too. I had periods where I was only eating like yogurt for like a day at a time.
Listen, as long as you were getting something in, because that's
Yeah.
hard. That, like,
I think
having an ulcer is no joke. I mean,
yeah.
I know you don't know for sure, but like just those symptoms alone, that's no joke.
I think it was an ulcer though because the medicine really did help. They put me on like sulcarafate and stuff. And I
Okay.
watched like Craig's videos and the videos that
Oh,
like the pain that he describes is a lot like how I had it.
gotcha. What would you say to someone who is bariatric, wanting a baby, but is a little scared of what it entails from your experience?
I personally would suggest trying to get at least to your goal weight and have like a month or two of maintenance because I feel, at least for me, it's really difficult to get back on track afterwards and to like lose the weight. Like now I wonder like if I'll ever make it to like my goal weight was like 165 and I got pregnant at 175 and it's a lot harder now. Like your first year is that golden year, but also like he's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Of
So
course.
I'm always like, go for it. It's great. But definitely keep in touch with your bariatric team because you have to be like on your vitamins. They got to be tracking the baby for like the glucose. Could you take the glucose test? They made me prick my finger.
I was doing the prick as well, which is actually a great point because a lot of people dump. I know you said that that's not your your thing, but I was scared about that. So I they gave me those both options. They said you can either do the glucose test or you can do the finger prick. I was like, I'll do the finger prick.
Yeah, I did
Did
the
they
finger
give
prick.
you both options, or did they just say straight up finger prick? Prick?
No, they said that they don't allow bariatric patients at, I have Kaiser, California. They said they don't allow them to do the glucose test because they're too worried they're going to like faint or something. And with people
Oh,
that's difficult. So we just did, I had to do the prick and I had to do it for like 1 week at a time. And then in my third trimester, they made me redo it again, even though my blood sugar was low. So I had to do it twice or twice for like a full week.
my goodness. And yes, berry babies are a blessing, my Miss Mamiana. Look how adorable this baby is. Like, I love my babies. I mean, I have technically two berry babies, but my first one was I had a lap band, then I had a revision in October, and then now I had this other baby. So, in terms of fertility, guys, if your goal is to have a baby, you're on the right track. So, I absolutely think that bariatric surgery is a great option for improving fertility. Do you at all consider any of the other tools for weight loss? I know right now the popular thing is like the Ozempic and Manjaro, or I'm sorry, I can't even really say that, the GLP ones.
Yeah, we'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
I would totally do GLP-1 videos or GLP shots. However, my family has a big history of thyroid cancer. And so for GLP-1s, you can't have a history of that. So I don't even know if they would let me take them. So that was something I was gonna like talk to my doctor about, but when I was reading it, it was like, oh, if you have a history of thyroid cancer, like you can't do it because it raises your risk for it.
Yeah.
So I think there's also pills and stuff that you can do that aren't shots, but I just haven't looked into it as much. And my
Gotcha.
protein intake changed when I was pregnant. They told me to eat more protein. So my bariatric doctor said my goal for protein has always been a little lower than everyone else's. Hers was 80 grams per day. Whereas when I got pregnant, they wanted me to have over 100, like 120 grams.
Ooh, that must have been challenging, especially being used to not having as much.
hmm Luckily, I had always kind of stuck around like 90 to 100 grams. So I just had to get a little bit extra. I had to eat a lot of Greek yogurt to get that extra 20.
Listen, I literally have one right next to me. So 23
Yeah,
grams, real quick.
those
That's
Chobani
a
completes were my friends.
That's a great question. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. We got about like 10 more minutes to go here, but I appreciate you guys in the chat, keeping it cute, keeping it classy. I appreciate Lisa and her beautiful baby Micah, who is a superstar. Any are we going to be seeing Micah with his own page, or is that the limit? Dad is like, nope, he can be on yours, but
He
not his
won't have
own.
his own page, but he might be featured more on my page.
Okay,
I think
okay.
he has an Instagram where, because I was just bombarding all my friends with pictures of him. So for a split second, he had his own Instagram, but I haven't updated it.
Oh, listen, Micah's like, look, you guys got to pay me. I'm not just gonna pop up on your
I
social media.
know. Yeah, maybe
I'm booked and busy.
Baby Gap will sponsor him.
Any more babies in your future at this time?
Yes, I want one more at least.
Okay.
I would like to get pregnant before he's 2. That's my goal.
Oh, that's.
Yeah.
I know a healthy baby is a priority, but if you had to pick gender, are you like leading to have your little pair?
My boyfriend asked me the same thing. I want a girl for myself, but then I
Okay.
also think it would be nice for him to have a brother. So I'd be happy
Yeah.
with either, but I've always imagined having a girl, but whatever. Whatever I get, I'm just want one more. Are you gonna have more?
No, no,
No.
ma'am. I got fixed. I
You
was
got
like
fixed?
fixed.
Did you?
Yes. I was now if I get pregnant again while fixed, y'all know that is somebody's
Divine
in trouble.
intervention? Because Joe
Right.
was an IUD baby, right?
He was an IUD baby. I express this to everyone
Crazy.
all the time because people are like, I have an IUD, I'm good. I'm like, so you think you're good. That's
My
cool.
surgeon said
But
2 forms of birth control, even if you had an IUD, and I didn't
I
listen
had
to
no
that.
idea. I have no idea. I didn't have that conversation with my
You
doctor.
didn't?
Apparently, if you're either on the GLP ones or
Mhm.
if you had a significant amount of weight loss from bariatric surgery, you should be on more than one birth control, at least 2 minimum. But I had no
Mhm.
idea. I
Did you
had
have a time
no.
frame that your doctor said that you could, that they didn't want you to get pregnant? Because mine was like
It,
2 years,
it
and
was supposed to
obviously,
be. It was supposed to be 2 years, but the first thing I said to him when he had that conversation, I'm like, it's fine. You don't even have to talk to me about that because I'm not having any kids. And boom,
boom.
there it
Yeah,
is.
we had that conversation.
Yeah.
2 forms of birth control and wait 2 years, and then I got pregnant at a year, and I was like, ugh.
So let me ask you this, because a lot of people are scared about having a pregnancy before that time frame. Did you at all regret the fact that it, like, I know we didn't have a choice in the matter, but like, do you wish it would have been, you would have waited a little longer if it would have happened a little later?
Um, I don't regret anything now. Definitely when I found out I was pregnant, I had wished that it was maybe a year later and I had entered into maintenance, just to give my best shot of reaching like a healthy weight.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't, this is my first pregnancy, so I have nothing to compare it to, but I know that this pregnancy was healthier than if I would have gotten pregnant at 300 and something pounds. Like just
Yeah.
physically, like I could bend down, pick things up and get up without like hoisting myself back up. So even like a year out is still pretty good. I was down like 165 pounds at that point. So I still feel pretty good about my pregnancy and where I was at.
Do you
So I
feel
don't
like
think women
when
should be so afraid. I know a lot of women there's a lot of women that get pregnant before 1 year.
they
And
do?
they do. And I was on a lot of chats, and a lot of the women, some were only like 4 months post op, and a lot of them lost weight during their pregnancy. Like they still continued to lose weight during their pregnancy, and the baby was perfectly healthy. So I think that, as long as you have a good team around you, you're going to be fine. And what my doctor told me was that even if you're not able to eat enough, the baby's going to take all the nutrients from you, and you're the one that's going to actually like suffer. Like the baby will get all of it needs from you, and then you're the one that's going to be depleted of your nutrients. So then that's why you have to get your blood work done. I got my blood work done like every 2 months when I was pregnant.
Did you experience any kind of body dysmorphia after the baby? I know some people experience it with the weight loss surgery. Did you experience any of that after the birth?
I definitely experienced it actually during and after. So
Okay.
the one thing that I really regret is I didn't really enjoy my pregnant body. Like I wore big sweatshirts. I didn't show off my bump at all. And looking back, that makes me really sad because I wish that I would have just enjoyed that time. So I'm hoping with my next pregnancy that I'm just, enjoy it. And I didn't have that perfectly round belly. I had like a bee belly because I had loose skin. So
Okay.
whenever you see like the women, they have like the perfect round bellies, and I didn't have that. And so I definitely had body dysmorphia. I just felt like people who didn't know I was pregnant just thought that I was gaining weight back.
Mm.
And that made me
That,
very unhappy and upset. And then after I had him, um, definitely I felt like my stomach just wasn't as flat as it was prior.
yeah.
So I still deal with that too. Because I'm only like, I know, I'm only like 7 pounds from where I was before, but I feel like I look a lot different.
It's funny you bring up the belly thing because I think a lot of people underestimate that. Like with my first pregnancy, I was big, so nobody knew that I was like pregnant. But then this one, I did like really like do the fitted clothes. That was like such an experience, and I cannot wait when you have your next baby. Take all the pictures in the world because honestly, just seeing the bump and seeing like, and while my bump was not by any means like the perfect bump, it
Mm-hmm.
was like, wow, like this is what it looks like to be pregnant. And, you know,
Mm-hmm.
people kind of like, and other people noticed it. Like before, people just thought I was a big girl, and I was like, ah, whatever. Like, but this time, people actually noticed that I was pregnant, and it was like such a big deal for me. Like I was taking
Yeah,
pictures everywhere, like everywhere.
I
So
know.
I
That's
cannot
my
wait.
one regret. I was like, I should have just enjoyed it. Because looking back now, I'm like, who cares that I had like a bee belly? But in my mind, it just seeing the weight go up, I just felt like I just looked big and I didn't look like I was pregnant. But I look back and I'm like, no, I definitely looked like I was pregnant.
Oh,
Hi,
my poor little babe.
hi.
No. How was your sleep? Are you getting any sleep?
No, this boy, he's nocturnal. He is like so chill the whole day, and then like 6 o'clock hits and he's ready to party.
Listen, because that's when the party starts.
I know, ba ba ba
That's
ba.
when it starts. That's okay, Micah. My baby wakes up at the same time. Y'all should call each other.
Yeah, he wakes up. He used to sleep really good through the night, and now he wakes up at usually 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock, and then I wake up at 5 a.m. to get to work.
Oh my lordy.
Yeah, so
Has
I
has the sleep pattern disruption at all affected your eating habits? Because some I wake up sometimes to tend to the baby, and I'm like, let me grab a few Cheez-Its.
that is a bad habit I picked up when I was pregnant because I felt like, oh, I need extra calories. So if I was in bed and I got hungry, I'd be like, oh, well, I need the calories. Let me go down and get like a string cheese. And that was something I never did. I was never that person that when I was in bed, I was in bed. I never went and woke up. Even when I was bigger, like before surgery, I never left my bed to go eat. And
Yeah.
in pregnancy, I developed that habit. And so now sometimes I'm like, oh, he's up. It's like 11 o'clock again. Like, oh, I haven't eaten since, 6 o'clock. Maybe I should go down and get a little cheese and crackers.
You're
So
my girl.
I've started
Yep.
to break that habit, but it was hard
Okay.
to break.
That's literally my love language. I tell everybody I'm Carby Barbie because I'm the same way. I like the crunchy, the
Oh, yeah.
salty. That stuff's like, oh my gosh, it's so challenging. I think that I definitely probably need a little extra help. I don't have gym time that much. I did pay for a gym membership, but I don't think I have the time for the gym. So I will be joining you on the mommy walks because that's probably the only thing I have time
Yeah.
for at this time.
I don't have
Um,
any time to get on my Peloton at all anymore.
I don't think I think people underestimate how much time goes into caring for a child while still trying to care for yourself.
Hmm.
If if there is anything you can leave us with, could you just like give us some words of encouragement for us mommies who are like after baby struggling maybe with body image, maybe struggling with getting those last few pounds down? Any words of encouragement you can leave us with?
Yeah, I think, it's taken me a long time to get to this place, but I've realized like moments with my son are way more important than 3 more pounds that I have to lose on the scale. And so I think like one, you got to focus on like getting healthy for you, obviously, so you can be there for him or for her, whoever your child is. But you also need to not be so obsessive that that's also getting in the way of taking care of your child because I'm somebody that can get like really too zoned in and like too meal prepping, too too much of everything. And then I'm not spending the time that I need with my son. And you'll get there. I think as long as you're, doing your mommy walks, you're eating well, you're going to get there. And the most important thing right now is being there for your kid when they're little.
That part. You heard it here, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Lisa. You have been such a light in this community. I don't know if you hear this enough, but we love what you do. I think you're amazing. The fact that you're balancing motherhood, being a bariatric patient, being a girlfriend, being someone's, daughter, just the day to day life gets the lifing, but you show up for the community consistently. And even if you can't, you still try. And for that, I just want to say thank you, because a lot of people don't realize that you're a mom, and that alone is a full time job.
Yeah.
So for those people who don't know, please give her some grace, even if she posts every 2 days. Don't shoot her.
I'm trying. And,
Trying.
just kudos to all the moms out there and all the dads out there that are making it work with their kids, because this is it. I never realized how hard it was until I became a mom. And, I think that everyone thinks they're not doing enough, and you're doing just enough. And you got to give yourself more credit because you're handling a lot. And it's important to put yourself first, too.
That
I feel like
part.
we always forget to do self-care, and it's like they say on the plane, you got to put the life mask on yourself first.
I got to take your words and run with it, because that's so true.
Mhm.
Put yourself first.
Yeah.
That's the best thing I could say too. Put yourself first. I'm working on that. Lisa, I thank you so much for taking the time to chit chat with me and share so much insight. There's so many people who want to know the bariatric experience, and how it is to be a berry mama. I like to say berry baby mama, but
Oh,
that's
yeah,
just
I say
me.
Barry mom. Barry mom. Oh, it's
Parenting is
yeah.
hard. Parenting is hard, but we're
Parenting
gonna
is
push
hard.
through. We're
And
gonna push
all the single
through.
moms out there, I feel for you because it's so hard.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you again, guys. I cannot leave you without giving you a few words, a quick word of encouragement. Y'all know I had to just drop this little quick gem for y'all. People throw shade on what shines. My friend, when in doubt, shine brighter. Don't dull your light for anybody. Speak your truth. Live in your purpose. Y'all heard what I said earlier. I truly mean it. This is a really important space for me, and I want to continue to keep it a safe space. I want to continue to bring you guys amazing content, amazing creators such as Lisa. If you haven't started following Lisa, check her out. She's on YouTube. She's on Instagram. She's on TikTok, obviously. She also has the cookbook? I wrote it down here. The cookbook or the
Oh,
ebook and the
I have a website
yeah, the
that I put
website.
my recipes up. I also have a TikTok shop account too that I also run.
That part. Look, boss mama. So make sure
Yeah.
you support her. She's a mommy. So let's support our berry mamas so that way we can continue to see her shining face. Maybe she could retire her job or something. I don't know.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great.
thank, thank you so much, Lisa. Until next Sunday, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.